Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin are traveling to Japan and South Korea for 4 days of talks starting today. Ahead of the trip, Blinken and Austin have written an op-ed in the Washington Post entitled "America's Partnerships Are Force Multipliers in the World," and they write in part this: "From his first day on the job, President Biden has emphasized America's re-engagement with the world because it's critical for us to meet the global challenges of our time. Our alliances are what our military calls force multipliers. We're able to achieve far more with them than we could without them. It would be a huge strategic error to neglect these relationships, and it's a wise use of our time and resources to adapt and renew them to ensure they're as strong and as effective as they can be. A fundamental debate is underway about the future and whether democracy or autocracy offers the best path forward. It's up to us and other democracies to come together and show the world that we can deliver for our people and for each other." Joining us now, Democratic member of the Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committees, Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia.
Senator, thank you so much for being with us. Obviously, these are perilous times because of the past several years. And China and our relationship with China has to be at the top of the Biden administration's list. What is the message that we deliver to China's leaders?
Joe, right. Relationship in the world, the relationship between the U.S. and China, they are an adversary in every domain. And basically what we've got to do, as the two secretaries indicate, is link arms with allies who have similar concerns. I know you guys noticed last week a very important announcement: the U.S., Australia, Japan, and India reviving this notion of a quad of nations in the Indo-Pacific. And the announcement was about the production of vaccines in India that could be used in India and elsewhere in Asia. But the linking of these four democracies to promote strength in the democratic model in the Indo-Pacific is a very strong indication that Joe Biden is going to go a different direction than Donald Trump, who liked to go mano a mano and do things unilaterally or match up against China on our own. That was just not smart. The Biden administration's focus on alliances as the one thing we do better than anybody else, that is smart.
Senator, the AP's Jonathan Lemire has a question for you. Jonathan.
Good morning, Senator. Great to see you. Wanted to ask you about the authorization of military force. You have spoken out in the past, administrations, Republican and Democratic alike, that Congress should be consulted on this and should receive appropriate notice and guidance, provide guidance. What are you seeing so far with the Biden administration on this? They did launch airstrikes, its first set, a few weeks ago, and there were certainly some complaints among Congress about how that played out. Walk us through what happened and what you would like to see changed.
Well, Jonathan, you're right. The airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias in Syria, they were limited in scope, but they do have an escalatory effect, because you saw those militias then fire back at U.S. positions, and you also saw Iran, at least temporarily, back out of a potential diplomatic discussion about denuclearization. Our point is that the Constitution requires Congress to be involved in war making, because if you let executives do it, even prudent executives, you end up in situations where you escalate into wars that may be unnecessary. I'm happy to say, though, that the Biden team really gets this and wants to come to a better understanding. Remember, Joe Biden, senator for 36 years, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committees, he understands the congressional prerogatives as well as anybody who's ever been in the office. So here's what's going on right now. There's a significant bipartisan effort in the Senate and House to repeal the two Iraq war authorizations, 91 and 2002, to show that Congress can't just pass a war authorization, but it can actually appeal one rather than leave it out there like a zombie to do mischief in the future. The second issue that's even more important, and the Biden administration has pledged to work with us on this, is to take the 9/11 authorization. 20 years this September we've operated under it in many countries, and to dramatically narrow it down so that it still gives us military authority to go after non-state terrorist groups, but imposes some kinds of limitations so it can't be used everywhere for as long as this or future administrations want it to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank all of you out there.
Thank you as always.
Thanks to at home.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for letting us into your homes during these extraordinary times.